And Bunnings Warehouse, where lowest prices are just the beginning.
There's a song that is sung through the length of the land, and in that song the people sing along. And when they take to the ground and the crowd comes alive, it's all there in the words of the song.
Jezza flew, and Bruce Dool was the general down back. It was the age of raw aggression mixed in with grace and flair. This is Heritage Round, when we reflect on the past and look to the future.
Looks really good now, doesn't it?
It's been a lot of fun, hasn't it, Heritage Round, as we welcome you to the MCG, and with the Oxers, Carlton up against Melbourne. David, it's a big day for both the coaches.
It certainly is. Dennis Pagan, one of the most experienced, up against a guy having his first go at it. Dennis Pagan needs the 4 points, while Mark Riley, well, he's out there just to prove that, well, come the end of the year, that he is still a chance and may be looked at as the coach going forward.
Lots of changes to both sides. The big out is Favola not playing for the Blues.
Well, team discipline, Dennis Pagan just stamping his authority right there. But a couple of players want to have a look at. Mark Murphy, he's becoming a very, very important player. And if he hadn't got injured last year, well, the NAB Rising Star Award would have been his. Cade Simpson's getting plenty of it too. He's averaging 17 possessions. And Jared Waite's performance last week in the last quarter just proved what he can do, kicking 5 goals. And as acting captain, I thought he was outstanding.
Still no place for Byron Pickett in the squad for the Demons, and lots of changes. Simon Buckley comes in for his first game.
Well, the D's have said, right, if you're injured, we're going to just put you in cotton wool and we'll wait for you next year. But at the moment, the D's have still got a pretty strong list. Matthew Bate has proven to a lot of people that he can play centre half forward. He's got a good set of hands and he plays a lot taller. Daniel Ward's run off the half back line has been one exciting thing for the Demons. And Cameron Bruce, he needs to kick goals. He's a very classy, crafty type of player, but the goals are lacking of recent times. The D's will be hoping he can slot a few through.
You've got the Demons on the ground first this afternoon, an away match for Melbourne at the MCG, and Tim Watson, the sort of game, ironically, that Cameron Bruce and Brendan Favola would be expected to fire in.
In particular, Brendan Favola, but it offers all sorts of possibilities for Carlton too.
It is, no worries. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good game. Thanks, Will.
They'll be less predictable when they go forward, the Carlton side. And Lynden Dunn has been given his opportunity today. We've seen him play on a number of occasions, and I believe that he does have a future at Melbourne.
Okay, so the Demons, who have been close so often this season, with their new coach today, one wonders about his ambitions. Ricky Olorenshaw is prowling the boundary. Good afternoon, Rick.
Good afternoon, Dennis. What an introduction for Mark Riley. His first game as coach. He lost 4 key players from last week's game in Neitz, Green, Johnson and Bell. And just to make matters worse for him, Cameron Bruce did a hamstring at training on Friday, so he won't be playing. So there's some big holes for Mark Riley to fill.
And an explosive start by the look of it here with Carroll.
Carroll went straight at Jared Waite. Jared Waite obviously is going to play out the goal square and replace Brendan Favola. Walker's gone forward. Betts is the little fellow at ground level.
Oh, it's bubbling over when the stakes are low. There's the bounce back in the middle. O'Halpin up very high. McLean was in there. Kudafides, now Russell, tied up by Bate and McDonald, and we'll have a ball up. The umpires this afternoon, Hendry, Goldspink and Filler. Bounce in the sunshine, it floats towards the shade. White thumps it down towards half forward. Bate comes up, lays it off to Jones. Jones inside the attacking 50. Johnson
started in the goal square, replacing David Neitz.
He's about 40 metres out. Will kick from just inside the 50. This will be a nice start to Johnson and Mark Riley. Kicks from just outside the 50. It's bending back. It's working back over the umpire's hat.
He's been given a bit of responsibility in recent times, Paul Johnson. He's been on the list for a while, started the West Coast Eagles, was a fine junior player. I think they've decided that, they decided under Neil Danaher that they were actually going to see whether or not this bloke can play. And he is a forward. He can lead. He can draw the ball. He's a very good kick too for a big man. And Matthew Bate, this is a good knock by White just to clear the immediate space. And it was Bate that pushed up. And that's what he does particularly well. Matty Bate pushes hard to the ball. He's been picked up by young Gibbs, so he's going to have an afternoon with his hands full.
One up, eh? This coaching caper's easy. Paul Johnson, 12th consecutive match today. He'd only played 11 games in 4 seasons prior to that, so that's a really good start for him. A surprising first goal kicker. Bizzle did well there and got it to Chris Johnson. So a couple of Johnsons today. Carrazzo's had a wonderful year, but he put Fisher under the pump there. Fisher was pretty good, I thought. And then Bauer's hands were okay. He's got the tats working well. And here's Walker back in the team again today. He's had a fine season, just floated one inside the 50. And now White to Wheatley, who Ox talked about prior to the match. And back to Bizzle.
Carroll picked up Walker. Walker pushed right up into the midfield now. Riley's going to have to decide whether or not he wants Carroll right up that high or whether he wants him back deeper and closer to goal as a defender.
Chris Johnson did very well. Slips it away. McLean to half forward. Sylvia up in front. Kept his feet. Didn't go after the crumb. Bate was there but pushed off the kick. Murphy. Awkward one for Bentic. Bate arrived quickly. Bauer did well in a tight situation. Slews off the outside of the boot. Miller came to meet it. Carrazzo, a lot of touches already to Walker. Bentic kicks for space, and running to that space is Murphy. Quality player. Kicks inside the forward 50. Beautiful kick. Should have made mark down there. O'Halpin missed it. Now an opportunity for Melbourne as they apply pressure to Wiggins, and that ball won't come out. Or will it? Eventually it does. Frawley gave it away, and the kick to the outer side puts them under pressure. Going back first is Betts. Runs inside the 50. Beats Jones. Lines up from 40. This will be a goal. What a beauty.
Well, that's what he can do, Eddie Betts. He's a wonderful control of the ball. I thought that the lead was on there. Russell had made a lead, and he chose to ignore that. He decided that he had enough gas in the tank. He knew exactly what he did. Just watch him think his way through this. Could have gone left there and kicked the ball to the leading player. Decided just to swing around, and that's a terrific shot on goal and a wonderful start by him today.
Averages a goal a game, does Betts. Dennis Pagan. 342 games as coach, up against Mark Riley in his first today. Dennis been going since 1993 when he had the big run with North Melbourne, aka Kangaroos. So Betts again in his 50th. Back to Fisher, another goal kicker. Rather Simpson, I should say. Arched the back, and then not a great kick, but puts Wheatley under the pump. Wasn't able to quite take the mark. Frawley under pressure to Jones. Betts almost robbed him, didn't quite. Ball still to come out, and now it will be a ball up.
And that's a really pleasing aspect of the way they've started this game. That's good pressure by the forwards of Carlton. Just locking the ball in, making it difficult for Melbourne to set the play up deep in defence.
20 metres out from goal. White backhands it down. Bentic still going. Well worked. Some hard work in there. Emerges with the football like a cork in the ocean. Down he goes. Holding the ball. Gee, he was stiff. Could have almost been pushed in the back at the end there. Jones. Wheatley. Kicks it close to the boundary line. White takes the mark, pulls it back, short of the wing. Godfrey's got it now, steps his man, looks down towards half forward. Here comes Davey. Awkward ball to gather. He clattered into Bate. As a result, Bate missed the football. Davey back in the action, reaching over the top. Houlihan. And we'll have a ball up. The attacking side of right centre wing for Melbourne.
Looks like Kilda is going to now run around the ground with Jeff White, and O'Halpin, who's starting the ruck, is going to push forward and play at centre-half forward. It's
a goal apiece. Koutafidis knocks it down. Walker, who's been in pretty good form this season. Koutafidis finishes up with it. Gains about 15 metres. Wigan slips it away. Now a chance for the Blues.
And Simpson's onto it. He's a left footer. He's going to try and get back, and he does. And gets to 55 and kicks to the goal square, where Waite and Frawley had a battle and over the line. So good build up there by the Blues.
This is going to be a great battle between Koutafidis and White. They're opposed to each other. Now, White will do him for height, and you'd expect that he'll out-jump him at the throw-ins and the boundary, the bull-ups and the throw-ins, but Kilda should have too much agility for him and ball-winning ability around the ground.
Gee, Ward's kick, there wasn't much room for error, but it did get to Carroll and then back to Ward, and his kick is a good one to Bate. He's got pretty good hands. Well read, though, by Miller. And then Miller's kick to the pocket, and on a long lead there is Brown. He's worked it to Davey. Left foot neat to Robertson. Had to try the half volley. Thornton with him. Thornton just paddles it cleverly to Hurlahan. Back towards Harlett. Davey, this is a dangerous position now with Davey over the top of him. Kilda doing well. To Thornton, to Bauer in the back pocket.
Awkward one for Gibbs. Tied up, taken high. Well played. Kept his eyes on the football, but they were bearing down. The hand pass did him no favours. As across the ground.
Here's Kilda too.
Hartlett's got it. Koutafidis was breaking to the outer side. Hartlett thought about going back there. Not sure he should have. But weight of numbers tells the story. Thornton goes short. And once again, Carrazzo, every time we see him, brings his own football. And the bright sunshine. Well, that'll teach him. Kicked into Jones. Jones inadvertently kicked it to Gibbs, though. Thornton, Carrazzo. Coming through is Scotland. A long kick towards half forward, and Fisher reaches over the top, fisted away. Well played, Carroll. It's out of bounds.
He's a good solid defender, Carroll. He's developed over the last couple of seasons. That was a great defensive smash away from him. Good smother there by Jones. He does all the in and under and hard stuff well.
Carlton just getting a bit more of it at the moment. Carrazzo again to Simpson. Getting back Bizzle. Just got a finger to it. Frawley did really well there. Seen Frawley in the back half of the MCG as a defender do pretty well over the years, haven't we? Miller's kick missed all the targets in the end, but Chris Johnson, a second good touch for him to Davey. He's just got a bit of space. Hurlahan with him. Did very well to Bauer.
He played that well, Hurlahan, didn't he? He looked like he was going to give a free kick away, but he just got his body in the right position. Tunnelled under Davey.
Beautiful kick too to Walker at centre wing. Walker's handball was dreadful. Miss Bentic. Godfrey should get a free kick, and he does.
Just outside the centre square towards left centre wing for the Demons. Godfrey. White getting separation on Koutafidis.
Looks like Pedard coming off the ground there.
White's about 70 metres out, and Johnson is just ghosting down towards the 50, and he's taken the mark, and he kicks it a long way. Very lax marking by Melbourne. Or rather, Carlton. Johnson now, a centering kick, decided not to go for goal. Where's Robbo? He's down there somewhere. Some hanging on, and Melbourne are getting a free kick.
The contest, your arm was around him. Yes.
We saw a lot of these yesterday in the game between St Kilda and Collingwood. And I must say, it was really, that's probably a free kick by the letter of the new interpretation of the rule. But as long as they're consistent, you just want to see that the umpire pays those free kicks all day.
So Colin Sylvia getting the free. Wasn't sure it was his, but he's directly in front. And should goal from here. Kicks from 25. Goal umpire goes a long way. He's missed. Well, when you're down near the foot of the table, playing a side in similar position, you've got to take your chances. He knows that. Mark Riley on the phone.
That's a gimme for him too. He's only going to average about, he's probably going to get 12 or 13 touches this afternoon. He's just got to nail those ones inside 50.
Carrazzo's kick not particularly good, but the Blues able to get towards Fisher and Miller. Walker, well done. That was a slightly better handball, but Young had to wait for it. Wiggins, Fisher's hands were good. Carrazzo doing very well early. His kick inside the forward 50 almost. Ward getting back with Betts. Betts clever. O'Halpin's handball to Wait. Wait to Murphy. Murphy. Goal.
You mentioned Carrazzo. He's already had 9 touches in the early part of this game. Not always the tidiest player, but he's a ball magnet. Just watch Betts here again. He just gets in and under there. Betts just wins the ball enough to push it out towards O'Halpin, and that's a really smart handball from him right over the top there to space. Here's Betts then, just controlled the ball. A beautiful tap out there to O'Halpin, and he had the presence and awareness to handball the ball over the top.
Ricky Renshaw down on the boundary.
Yeah, Ricky Pettard came off the ground a few minutes back, got a heavy knock to the ribs. He's gone down the rooms with the doctor. Now, he was picking up Andrew Walker, so Mark Riley's going to have to find a match up for him.
Jeff White sitting down as well. It was interesting. There was no love lost between Walker and Pettard before they bounced the ball. And again shortly afterwards. Now McDonald's pushed in the back.
Let him go.
Murphy's been terrific so far, getting that last goal. Wheatley hoists one high inside the forward 50. Robbo worked out of the contest well by Thornton. Coming over the top was Bauer, but he punches it out of bounds. So boundary throw in just outside the attacking 50. Johnson and Kennedy. Comes down behind to be taken by Jones. Held a while, had the ball a while. Schofield, or rather Scotland, did well, and eventually it finishes with Carrazzo round the outer side. Murphy once more. Well, he dropped the mark, should have held it. Now a chance for White. White kicks inside the forward 50. Well done by Frawley, reaching over the top. Got a fist on it. Bizzle stumbles. Got it out towards Ward. Tries to slap it to Wheatley. Wheatley can't control it. And off his boot and across the boundary line.
Carlton's 2 tall targets inside their 50 will be O'Halpin, who's pushing forward, being picked up by Carroll now, and Waite's playing out of the goal square. That's a big job for young Frawley.
Johnson won the tap. McDonald just couldn't quite get clear there. Young is on a left foot. High tackle by Jones.
Oh.
Gee, O'Halpin, Tim, just thinking, he's been given a lot of roles. We saw him as a defender, NAB Cup, didn't we? And he's been in the ruck, he's been forward, he's been asked to do a lot of different roles this year.
He's getting a great initiation in the game of flexibility.
McDonald, kick around the body. The Irish have made their mark, haven't they? Bate, ridden into the ground. Carrazzo to Walker. So the Blues are getting a lot of it from some of their stars. Wiggins not quite. McDonald's handball to space. Carroll just had to search for it. He held his ground pretty well. Kennedy and Jones, and then Bizzle. It's in close. Free kick against O'Halpin.
Again, good pressure, though. It was untidy, the tackle, but the pressure was good. This is where Carlton have really been poor in recent weeks, and this is why they've had big scores kicked against them. They're kicking the ball in, but they're not chasing hard enough out of there.
Bizzle got it to Johnson. Now with Ward. Back to Johnson. He's at left half back. His namesake wanting it long. Well, he bypasses Chris Johnson, looking for Bate. Bate had it fisted away by Gibbs and then can't reel it in. The ball goes out of bounds.
That's a great matchup, that young Gibbs and also Bate. He works hard, Matty Bate. You already see Gibbs. He looks like he's just copped a bit of a knock in that contest as well.
Boundary throw in. Off hands, kicked forward by Scotland. Getting back is Wheatley. Plenty of support around too. Buckley just on the ground to Wheatley. White. Little triangulation of fire. McDonald gave it back to Wheatley to centre half forward. Sylvia is going to get a free kick. Arms were chopped.
It's 2 free kicks to him. Just a little bit taller than Scotland. He's Scotland in the marking contest.
Venture to say he's too far out to score. He would love to get onto one and make amends. Play on's the call, so impossible now. Just sets it up. Working in front down there was Newton, and it's going to be a free kick. It's going against Hartlett.
I hit the ball. Yeah, you did hit the ball. It came straight over his shoulder.
So Newton impressed us last week.
There you go.
Yeah.
I actually sat and watched one of the games yesterday with my wife, and she turned to me at one stage and she said, "Wouldn't you love to play as a forward in modern day football?"
So Newton, important kick this one. Melbourne trailing by 6. Now scores are level.
Tim, Susie wasn't getting sick of you at home and suggesting something, was she? A comeback.
No, she wasn't. She just it was just an observation, and I think she's spot on too. The balance has definitely swung back towards the forwards in our game. Just watch this closely again. There's Hartley just trying to claim him late, and I reckon he made contact with the ball, an incidental contact with the shoulder.
Working the phone, Dennis Pagan and Mark Riley.
They're playing the paddock too at this stoppage, centre bounce.
So Carlton playing the old kangaroo paddock with Waite left alone in the forward 50, all on his lonesome, a la Kerry in the 1990s.
All the players pushed up to centre half forward. There we see Gibbs, who got injured before in that marking duel with Bate.
What's happening down there, Ricky?
Bryce Gibbs did hobble off with a left ankle injury. He's just in the hands of the physio at the moment, getting it restrapped. And Andrew Walker has gone to pick up Bate.
Thornton. Gibbs has been durable so far. Thornton back to Murphy. Gibbs, the only player from the draft last year to have played every game so far this season. Houlihan's vision outstanding to Al Halpin. Now they had the paddock set up and now they rush back and Waite's got a very clever mark. It was floating, wasn't it? And I reckon at the last moment he realised, I could get this.
It was a beautiful kick, though. A great kick there from O'Halpin. He measured that just perfectly, all alone, on his own, inside the square. Had one thought in his mind, and that was to go long to the space, and just measured it perfectly.
He's kicked 10-4 from set shots this year. He's kicked as many goals as anybody else in the competition in the last 5 weeks, and that's a good start for him today.
And it's a less predictable forward line they've been able to set up here, Carlton, without Favola in the side. Waite's gone to full forward. They've had O'Halpin going from ruck into the forward line. Cooter's started there on a number of occasions. They've got Wigan, who's also a marking target. Fisher's a marking target. Lappin's now come onto the ground in the forward line, and Eddie Betts at ground level too. So there's less predictability when they do break from the middle of the ground as to where they're actually going to position the ball.
Bryce Gibbs being worked on still, and that was looming as a terrific duel, he and Bate. And you can see that landing on the left foot, not the way he intended to land. Down goes McLean. Dunn, a late inclusion for Bruce. McDonald feeds it back, but that's untidy. Wheatley will need to go on the defensive 50 now. He's outnumbered 2-on-1. Support arrives from Carroll, who loops it over the top. Ward run down. Good pressure by Waite. Walker, Thornton, now Fisher. They've got the extra man. They use him. Murphy sets it up. Lappin in best position. Oh, clever mark. Shielded the ball in mid-air and gave Bizzle no sight of it.
That was a beautiful kick, though, to his favoured side where the space was. And you're right, Dennis, you caught it perfectly. He shielded the ball there with one arm. And Bizzle, there was no way known that Bizzle was able to interfere with that mark there where the ball was placed.
Matthew Lappin, 15 goals for the season, including 5 against the Western Bulldogs in round 10. Should kick this. 35 metres out. Well, that's twice I've said he should kick it. Applied it to Sylvia and now Lappin, and both times they've missed out to the right badly.
Keep your confidence up, Dennis.
I'm worried about theirs, Bruce.
Wheatley, I'm frightened to say it, but normally a very good kick. A long kick, and that's no exception, and it's a beautiful kick, wasn't it, to Miller? That's the rebound footy from full-back, and then Miller down the line. Now Melbourne have got a bit on here. Buckley, who had a good handball just after coming on. 38th player used for the Demons this season. Kingston Newton, another newcomer. Back to Jeff White. Can't get the hook on it. And out of bounds on the full. 84th consecutive match for White today from round 1, 204. So it's a good long innings for him, getting close to the 250. Young looks for O'Halpin. He's a towering figure, isn't he, O'Halpin? Just feel in a couple of years' time he could be something.
He's developing into a fine player.
And now kicks inside 50 and gives that a hook. Trying to get to Lappin.
Still got some work to do on parts of his game, Bruce. But The thing is, they're playing him because they want him to be a player and part of the Carlton future.
He's the right model, isn't he, when
Absolutely.
you look at him?
They've had a lot of handballs too, the Blues. 38 handballs to 31 kicks. Now, that's unusual for them.
Margin is 7 points. Young goes back behind the pack. Carrazzo, Lappin. Tried to give it back to Carrazzo. Too clever by half. Wheatley comes away. That's a telling kick down towards half forward. Sylvia's got it. They scatter the Melbourne forwards. Sylvia puts it into the path of Davey. Reaching over the top. Houlihan knocked it away. Robertson surrounded, dragged down, got boot to ball, made it interesting, got it away from the congestion. Need about 5 metres by Godfrey. And Need, the mother of invention there. We've got a bounce about 55 metres out. Like slow motion, Simon Godfrey wrapped up, looked around, spotted a teammate behind him, and that's the way he sent it. Carrazzo again, an innate ability to find the ball in close. They work it away. The hand pass came from Bauer. Kudafides. Now Houlihan playing with younger hair this afternoon. Goes down towards half forward. O'Halpin takes the diving mark.
He's athletic, isn't he?
He's been busy too. Wait the target with Frawley. Wait got rid of him and then just couldn't find the footy. Was he legged?
That's a big assignment for Frawley in his first year of AFL football. I've watched him closely, and he's going to be a player. He's a little bit untidy with his disposal, but he'll pick up on that part of his game. He's very athletic, and he seems to have great vision too when he has control of the ball. And that's what they need to do, Melbourne. They need to just continue to play these kids for the rest of the season just to give them game time.
Just in his 5th game today, Frawley.
Good pedigree. Good bit of blood gushing down the forehead there too.
His uncle's Danny Frawley, the St Kilda long-time captain and great defender.
He hunts the ball. That's what I like about him. When he plays, he actually looks like he wants to go and gain possession of the ball. And that's an area that even in the early part of this game, Mark Riley would be concerned about, that Melbourne aren't getting nearly hard enough and low enough at the contest.
He's a mercurial player, Wade, but this would test him, you would think. It's a hard kick. Does he go for it? Set it up. He's going to set it up to the front of the square, and Jones read it probably best. Benchick with him. Lappin and Betts, they're the 2 danger men you'd reckon in there at the moment. Fisher now gets a hand on it. And it's going to be the umpire. So Carlton attacking. They lead by 7 over the D's. Gibbs looks like he might be okay the way he limbered up there.
So that's good news. 6 times this season Carlton have led at quarter time. On track to do it again. White over the top, thumps it away. Little look away hand pass from Young. Gives it to Carrazzo, who hooks it back. Hasn't got the distance. Flying over the top is White. And he angles it back across the line.
Well, Kudafides is running in the ruck with White. He's had 5 touches. White's had 5 too, so there hasn't been a significant difference there yet.
Bizzle. Chris Johnson forced to go with his right boot. Not that effective either. Down goes Bauer. In fact, I think that is Grigg out there on the outer side just on. Not sure. The ball goes down towards half forward. Houlihan. It was Grigg, the youngster. Good to see him out there this afternoon. And Scotland takes it across the line. He's not sporting a tattoo, is he? Let's go down to Ricky.
Yeah, just a quick update on Bryce Gibbs. He's had his ankle restrapped. He's done some runs around the boundary. He looks okay to me, but we'll probably see him in the next quarter.
All right, no chance. Good tackle. Thank you.
Now, this is where Melbourne should be able to get an advantage. Wide up against Kudafides at this stoppage.
Walker. Sylvia in and under to McLean. So McLean inside the 50. Robbo worried out of it. Davey in the pocket. Handball, not good. Thornton read it very well. And Robertson struggling early, I reckon. Thornton's kicked to centre wing, and O'Halpin yet again. Robbo just doesn't look sharp in the first quarter.
No.
And Davey's had a couple of opportunities. Bizzle read it best. Probably a very foolish question, but the Davey, it would have been a really difficult weekend for the Davies with his brother very badly injured on the first big injury he's had in his career on Friday night. It's something that, you know, certainly would be worrying the family. And now Jones away and then through the centre square. Let's see if Robbo gets involved here. That was a bit better. Newton got it from Brown, and Newton's kick is a good one. And so is he, I reckon. He's kicked 2.
He's a really likely looking player, isn't he, Newton? We see the new coach there looking pretty relaxed. Jones, good running off half-back. It was a long kick to that really dangerous spot about 25 metres out from the top of the goal square, and there was a contest. Robertson almost got his... Look at Robbo fly there, and that was the contest they needed. Then they had the players there at ground level. You see there, quick hands there to...
it was Brown to Newton.
Newton, yeah. Brown not normally played at ground level in the forward line, but obviously they want somebody hard in and under, prepared to win the ball.
Carlton lead it by 2 points then, approaching quarter time. Taking a tumble is Bentic, and the umpire, I think, will ball it up. David Schwartz, a big fan of Michael Newton. He's got 2. Obviously spurred on by that knowledge. Johnson and O'Halpin. Johnson wins it. Bentic tied up once more.
Just watch this stoppage, just McLean being picked up by Bentic, and almost being held there by Bentic.
Rucks go at it, falls behind, socket forward by Dunn. Bentic knocked away by Dunn. Walker slips it to Carazzo. Took a while to release the football, holding it.
That's better.
So Melbourne with a chance to lead at quarter time. Nathan Brown to take the free. He's about 60 metres out. Spots a lead, finds Bate.
Well, that's why they've pushed Brown forward. We see Gibbs there just trying to get his legs moving again, because he is good at winning the ball. He's a hard nut. He loves to get in there and contest. See Carazzo and Jones just shaping up. I don't know why players even bother doing that, Dennis.
In comes Bate, and he kicks truly. Straight through the middle.
Coming into this game, kicked 12 goals, but I like the way that he plays. He's a real lead-up type ball. He draws the ball. He's got wonderful hands. He looks untidy when he kicks, but he's kicked 12-3 coming into this game, so he is an accurate kick, and that's why they've played Brown in the forward line, because he can win the ball at ground level, and they've left that space open, and Bate just moved off the top of the square, and that's a very easy and comfortable mark.
So the D's have had a good patch here. Gibbs trying to get back on. Bates third on the goal kicking list for those Demons out there today. Neat's not playing. Only Robbo and Davey in front of him. So the advantage now given to Walker, to Carazzo. And that's his 15th disposal in this opening term. Lapping a target. Well done, Dunn getting back. Waite, who you reckon's going to be the key, but straight to Paul Johnson. He's had a very good opening term. Back to McDonald. Put Wheatley under the pump. Walker's had a lot of it as well. Bangs it back. Carroll read it pretty well. And then Dunn. And now Melbourne with a chance. Ward can switch it up a bit. And Chris Johnson's wide kick, not particularly good to be truthful, didn't get a lot of distance. And here's Grigg with his first kick in league footy. Goes back inside, fishes off.
Oh dear.
And Nathan Brown, for the second time in a minute, gets a free kick for holding the ball inside the 50. The last time, though, he was in the attacking zone.
Just one step, that's all it'll take. Correct decision by the umpire.
Nathan Brown to Bizzle. Gee, went straight to Johnson, who was standing flat-footed. Picked up by Dunn. Sloppy game of football at the moment. Dunn comes again. Dives in after the footy. Here's a chance. Carazzo loops it over the top. Waite creates some space. Tries to bounce it through. Untouched, according to the umpire, who is in perfect position. Carazzo, you're not going to believe this, 16 possessions. Moments ago had time to shadow box.
I'm not your word, Bruce, but that special that ability there shown by Waite was special. The way he actually gathered the ball first and then just to get around his opponent.
16 possessions. Wow, that's not a bad term's work. As we said, every time we see Carazzo, he gets a lot of the football. And I don't know the answer to the question, Tim, you raised before, why do players shadow box or do what he was doing? I gather Mike Thompson carries a sign around at the present time. Will shadow box for food. It's thrown in. O'Halpin knocks it down. Carrazzo, 17 possessions now inside the forward 50. And the mark is taken by Bizzle.
He's a ball banker. He's been picked up by Simon Godfrey as well, who's a renowned tagger.
Quarter time. And Melbourne have taken back the lead. Interesting game on the scoreboard. It's a game that needs a bit more momentum. 4-1-25, 3-4-22. A long time to go still.
Gibbs has gone down to the rooms, interestingly, there, after Ricky saying he's had problems moving laterally.
So Melbourne by 3 points on a cold afternoon in Melbourne.
All the Carlton forwards pushing up across centre half forward, reminiscent of the Pagans paddock with Wayne Carey.
Start of the second term, Sunday football under partly cloudy skies. Very brisk, but a good day to play footy. O'Halpin goes after it. Advances at about 5 metres. Young with courage. O'Halpin like a fire engine. Hurtling through, going to the wrong fire. Missed the footy. That almost took Young out.
Sean Grigg in his first game's got a big assignment now. He's gone to Matty Bate.
Over the top, the third man up, and knocking it away there was Carrazzo. On his knees, Wiggins got it out. Clever football. It came from Murphy. Wider still. The kick comes in from Bentic down towards the forward pocket. Going back is Carroll. And this ball close to the boundary line. Still in. Now it's out. So a throw in. No change to the quarter time score. Bentic, who made his debut, we saw him then, Heritage Round of 2004. Started his career wearing number 40. His footy hero was Brett Ratton. No surprise then he's number 7 with the retirement of that champ. Frawley tied up by Bentic. And we'll have a ball up.
O'Halpin's now pushed to the goal square after taking the ruck. And Kudafidis will run around the ground with Jeff White.
So Melbourne with this narrow lead, and there is Kuda, Jones, Scotland.
No, put your head down.
And Dunn with the ball, and again a ball up.
And Bruce, you'd think for that to be successful, Kuda's probably got to get 20-25 touches and have some real influence around the ground, and that O'Halpin's going to have to probably kick a couple deep in the forward line.
Well, both Kuda and White are on 6 disposals so far.
That was holding.
So Wiggins with a free kick there against Chris Johnson.
Let him run. Play on.
Back to Simpson and then to full forward. Good looking kick. Oh, wonderful. O'Halpin. He is a colossus at times, isn't he?
I thought he was hopelessly out of position there. I was watching the ball go forward. I thought he needed to actually go deeper before he started his run. Looked like it was going to go over his head. He is tall. He's about 6'7" in the old money. And watch this. Just sticks the hand up and it sticks.
He's one of the most interesting projects in the AFL, don't you think?
Because of his size, he is, yes. All the other Irish players we've seen come to the country have been, outside Jimmy Stones, have been midfield types.
Well, he's been very precise about what he's done here. He kicked a couple of goals against Port Adelaide in the big win at Telstra Dome this year. Straight in front. He's got it, the Irishman. Almost a jig.
Oh, yeah, when he plays, I'm drawn to watching him because he does do some extraordinary things. This is just a long kick by Cade Simpson. As I said before, it looked like it was going to go over his head. He's clearly taller than Carroll in a one-on-one contest. If they can isolate those two, then they definitely have an advantage. He'll now push into the ruck. After the ruck contest, he'll go forward again. Carroll will pick him up and Kuda will run around the ground.
Good start to the second term by the Blues, and we've had Josh rummaging through the Albus Dumbledore yearbook, and we found that Peter Featherby, 51 possessions on this ground against Melbourne, round 16, 1981, maybe the most. So Carrazzo is on pace to challenge that at this early stage, but of course we saw Thompson last night with a lot of possessions and fell off the pace. Wheatley making the pace, putting Melbourne back in front. Lovely kick.
Well, that was a fabulous answer there by Wheatley too, and Melbourne have been waiting a long time for this young player to develop. He picked the ball up. Just watch this. He showed great dexterity here to pick the ball up. He's a tall kid. and then got straight on his bike. Good athleticism and good finish too. He's had a lot of trouble over the journey with hamstrings, and he'll be one player that they'll be looking at very closely in the latter part of this season, I'd expect.
He's played more games this year than he did for the whole of last. So the Demons look on. What's happening with Ricky Pettard, Rick?
Yeah, not great news for Demons fans, with Ricky Pettard in the rooms at the moment with a collapsed lung. The ambulance has just arrived and he's on his way to go to Epworth Hospital, so not great news for Demons.
That is terrible luck for the 18-year-old who's made such an impression in his first season, so we wish him well. Godfrey got it from McDonald, and that's a terrific kick to Bate. Now, Bate's a chance. He's 50 out, but he's a long, long kick. It's right there. Oh, Davey read it well, and now gets a second chance. Left foot hooks it back. Don't tell me. Extraordinary. It is Davey.
Well, that defies physics. On his left foot towards the boundary. He almost got the first crumb when it came into the goal square. He pounced, but he just couldn't quite gather the ball. Just watch this one. Here he is there. He's in the right position. The ball just bobbled away, and then he was quick enough, and that is just an extraordinary snap running towards the boundary line.
Gibbs around the boundary line. But moments ago, we may have seen the goal of the year right there. Bruce has got a couple of contenders right in that vicinity. One was Robbo lying down, kicking it flat in his back. And that time, as Tim said, defying physics, that kick from Davey. A normal player would have come back on his right, not Davey. Went to the boundary. And to stand there and look at the gap between the goalposts would be frightening. Somehow he got it through. Here's Carroll on the outer side, going down towards half forward, and Sylvia stretching, takes the mark. He's 60 metres out, wheels around, down towards full forward. Robbo takes the mark. His pride has been pricked. 15 metres out, directly in front. That's the first time he's troubled the statistician this afternoon. When it comes to kicks and marks and hand passes, it was 0-0-0 until then. Sounded like the 3-day forecast in Siberia. In he comes and he kicks the goal.
That's his first kick of the afternoon. That's his first mark. They got the ball in there quickly, and a bit of a worrying sign there too for Carlton. Scotland was way behind. As we see Carroll here kicking the ball to Sylvia, Scotland just struggling to get there. Bate was leading his direct opponent, bound to the ball there too. So there's two good marking targets for the Demons. They're good mobile players playing up around half forward. Thornton just losing Robbo.
So Robbo with his first. Here's one for you, Dennis. You're counting down to Featherby. The last 11 kicks in this match have produced 4 goals. 3 for Melbourne and 1 for Carlton. We've only had 11 kicks in the space of 4 goals. So Chris Johnson back to Sylvia. I think he's impressed, Tim. Good kick inside to Newton.
Well, that was Melbourne's future. Dunn picked up the ball, handballed it to Sylvia, and then on to Newton.
And that ratio could be improved right here, Bruce.
Absolutely, and Newton's been a good kick for goal so far in the couple of games we've seen him. He had a big debut, didn't he, last Friday night in Neil Danaher's. So he changes coaches as quickly as he changes other things. 2 games, 2 coaches. So Newton from 50, it's coming back. He's got 3. If I keep up lines like that, you're going to use me as a scriptwriter eventually, aren't you?
Well, I'm thinking about Nick Revolt. Remember, we pulled that one out when we needed stuff. He had 5 coaches in 5 games.
Good tap there by White. Beautiful ball won by Dunn. And there was Buckley onto Johnson, onto Sylvia, onto Newton. I mean, they're all the young players of the Melbourne Football Club. That's their future on display there. And people think there's nothing to play for. There's plenty to play for in the latter stages this season for the D's.
Ricky Olorenshaw on the boundary.
Well, I've just come back from the Melbourne Ruins just to check on Ricky Pettard. I did speak to the Melbourne club doctor, and the good news is the kid is stable. He will still go to hospital just as a precaution. And Bryce Gibbs is also back on.
Down goes Walker in a strong tackle. So goals coming at the ratio of 1 every 3 kicks at the moment.
They got much tougher in and around the contest too. Melbourne see Jones in there, hard tackling. McLean's in there.
Newton has got 3 goals. White thumps it towards half forward. Brown tied up. Still no kicks advancing this ball. Back goes Koutafidis, gets a hand pass away. Carazzo out wide. Scotland had to wait for it. Now he's got a problem. We'll count that as a kick. Bentic slips it away. Houlihan directing traffic. Needs to be careful. Steps Buckley. Drives it down towards half forward. Hangs a long time in the air. And equal to the task was Fisher. He can take a good grab. Talking about Newton doing something that Nick Revolt did. 2 coaches in his first 2 games. About 30 metres out the contest. Ward goes after it. Sockers it wide. Out of bounds, and the umpire says throw it in.
It's Grigg. First match for the Blues. Had some shoulder problems last year. Murphy kicked a goal in the opening term. Outside the 50. Good looking kick. It's a goal. He's kicked 2. Tim, suddenly the highlights reel from this match are starting to look pretty good, isn't it?
There's been some spectacular football. You see the contest there between Kilda and White again, and this bloke's been inaccurate this season. Coming into this game, he kicked 6 goals, 12. I'd like to think that most of those kicks, though, have probably been rushed because he has had an enormous amount of pressure. Since Stevens did his injury, he became the #1 target when you played against the Blues.
Lovely goal. Mark Murphy, the first man taken in the 2005 draft. His first AFL opponent was Daniel Ward, who was chasing then. Back in the middle, Johnson slaps it down, taken by Walker, digs it out for Carlton. That ball towards half forward, floating over the top was Miller. Johnson, who's had a pretty good game, created space by standing still. Kicks it down towards half forward. Brown missed it. Getting back is Russell across half back. Comes short. Walker once more. His 13th possession. Kennedy. They need more from this young man. Kennedy inside this centre square. Thumping kick down towards the pocket. Down there was Carroll. Missed it. Coming up was Fisher. Just outside the 50 now. Simpson looks back towards the middle. Goes looking for Murphy with the hand pass. Murphy to Fisher. Working in a tight space down there. Fisher lines up. Not that time. Off hands against the post.
I'm not sure about that kick. You would think that that kick needed to go high to the top of the square as opposed to trying to kick a miraculous goal from an angle like that.
Had one more scoring shot, the Blues, but they trailed by 14 points. Ward undecided. And then to himself, and then the handball to Jones. So Jones in his 2nd season, the 19-year-old. That's a good-looking kick. Miller did pretty well. And then the left-hand handball to Godfrey, who is fairly stationary and now has to get some momentum. And Johnson is playing a good game. He's a very long kick off one step, and that's inaccurate, and too long, in fact, because it gave Robbo no chance to take a legitimate mark. I reckon Paul Johnson, I know we're being a bit stat conscious, I don't reckon he's had as many touches in a match than he's had so far in this today. He's up to about 7 or 8. He's doing well.
There's Walker, who's getting plenty of it. Kicks it down towards half forward. Gibbs from behind. Terrific grab. Carroll in an unenviable situation of having to back, and now it's going to be a free kick to Melbourne. Well, the umpire holding. Bizzle gets it. Always a sinking feeling. Carroll backing back, but Gibbs did very well. Fine judgment.
Here's the contest.
Oh, well, how about that? Back at the game, Bizzle has just given it away. He kicked it directly to Simpson.
Well, this is football karma. We just saw a replay of the free kick paid against O'Halpin, and there was just nothing in it. Maybe Bizzle realised that as well. Did the right thing.
Pangs of conscience.
Served a double fault.
Fisher comes in from 25 metres out and puts it through. The Simpson.
Kate Simpson, they think a lot of him. Here's that mark by Gibbs. That is just a terrific fight. The first thing he did when he got back up again, though, Gibbs, was think about bringing the ball into the forward line or getting the ball into the forward line as quickly as he could. There was a 2-on-2 in there. And here's the missed kick by Bizzle. And you just don't want turnovers there.
The Carlton champ takes a breather, the 34-year-old Kilda. And now it's Carlton's turn to get a wriggle on, isn't it? With a couple of goals, some errors at the back. Terrific mark by Gibbs, getting the ball forward. And then the mistake at the back for the Demons. Bate crashed his way through to McDonald. This game really picking up. Robertson, not a good handball, put Godfrey under the pump, but he keeps his head over the footy, Godfrey. McDonald got it back from Brown, and then the kick to Robertson. He was searching for it. Thornton with him. They both go to ground. Simpson, lovely pick up and a beautiful handball. And now Thornton dodges and weaves and goes back to Simpson, who's had a very good minute or two, but he kicks to Bizzle, and that's a little bit of irony in that, because it was Bizzle that coughed it up to Simpson a moment ago, and now Bate in range.
I don't know what's going on here, but Bate has been running around for the last couple of minutes on his own.
Goes short, Newton, and takes the mark.
I'll get David Swartz to have a look at that and just see who actually goes to Matthew Bate now. There's been 3 players that have already played on him in this game. He leads hard to the ball. He really pushes to the contest. You've got to have someone who's got great concentration and great athleticism as well. He must have a pretty big engine because he seems to be able to drop off his direct opponent.
Well, we reckon he's a good kick. This will test it, won't it? He's 3 for 3 today. He's tucked away on the boundary line, about 48 metres out, and pretty good effort, but a behind. So the Demons by 10 over the Blues.
I think the umpire called him Juice as well. Juice Newton. There's a blast from the past. 70s, I think. What did she sing? Here's Fisher coming up and taking the mark outside the defensive 50. Lobs it towards the wing. Murphy going across did well. And that should be 50. Probably not.
I think it was the old I-ho, Dennis. Oh, that might have been Olivia.
Ball down towards half forward. Now we're stretching. Out of bounds it goes. Wait. I think it was a bit rockier than that, but I can't remember either. Boundary throw.
Andrew Walker's now gone to Matthew Bate. So Dennis Pagan believes that he's got a bit of a problem there too. As we see O'Halpin coming back onto the ground, he'll go to the goal square.
Rocky road for both these teams at the moment too. You can see why they are where they are, but it's not through lack of application this afternoon. A lot of skill errors, but in its way, that's making the game interesting. Thrown in, out his side, off the ball, Simpson. Body to body. Spills to the back of the pack. Socket forward by Scotland. Inside the forward 50. Carroll controlled it well. Then Betts arrived. Ward went looking for McDonald. Just wide of the mark. It bounces out of bounds.
What makes it interesting between these two sides is they both play with a fair bit of width between their direct opponents, so they do roll the dice.
Thrown in. Kennedy nudged out of it by Johnson. Well played McDonald. Got it to Sylvia. Dragged down, but not before he got it away to Frawley. Frawley emerges with it then. That's a telling kick through midfield. McLean goes back, takes the mark, flirted with the idea of going and decided not to.
And then goes wide to the lead from Miller, but Newton's taken a very good mark.
Where's this punt been?
Well, I'm starting to think Drew Petrie. Same end of the ground, different quarter, I know. Not quite there yet, but it's been a very, very good effort. I was just thinking of Brock McLean a moment ago. He's probably been the disappointment of this year, not through his own fault in many ways, because of the big injury early, because at the start of the year, you would have backed him in to be one of the elite midfielders in the comp.
He has struggled to get going this year. That was a wonderful kick to him, though.
So Newton with 3 goals won so far in his second game of AFL, and that one not coming back. So 3-2. I tell you the big move here, Godfrey on Carazzo. Carazzo's had 1 disposal in the second quarter.
They've shut him down.
After having 17 in the first. So that has been a good move.
Free kick up here. Back to the square.
High tackle.
So you can hear the umpire.
Go down. Go down. Go down. Go down.
So what a good way to get the ball out of the danger zone. So the free kick going to Houlihan.
11 points the difference as Houlihan goes out towards the wing. Hard running by Lappin. He claims the mark. Needed some hard running down the ground. Forced to kick long to a contest. Reaching over the top, O'Halpin. McDonald taken strongly down by O'Halpin. Trying to finesse his way out of there. James McDonald, the best and fairest from last season. No way he could do that. Carlton players everywhere.
Stacks on the mill.
Bounce just inside the 50 then. Wiggins came over the top, straight to McDonald, who finds the boundary line on the bounce.
Is that a saying from the 70s? Stacks on the mill, Dennis?
I think it is. And to hear some commentators still the saying today, I think. You're suggesting we use that one, Tim?
Oh, it's heritage round.
Carazzo, clever as it turned out. Scotland hard against the boundary line, pulls it back towards the middle. They compete about 20 metres out. Bizzle again attracts a crowd and stacks on the mill.
That's the second tackle we've seen O'Halpin apply inside the 50 since he came back onto the ground. So he's not just good at it competing in the air. He actually does some work when the ball hits the ground.
So the Blues pressing hard here. They kicked the last 2 goals. Carroll under pressure. Betts. Ward's got him.
All right. Try and knock it out.
Real arm wrestle the last 5 minutes after those goals came really quickly at the start of this quarter. Gee, what a contrast to Dennis Pagan in a very different position in his coaching career to Mark Riley, isn't he? He needs the win today. And that is a behind.
He's the go-to man, though. We've seen him on 3 occasions now, Murphy, have the ball directed towards him at a stop play inside their 50.
Just hitting the post, so he's a bit stiff. Here's Chris Johnson.
Chris Johnson towards half forward finds Bate. Chris Johnson's his dad. Won 2 best and fairest for the Demons. Bate. Robbo missed it. Not his day so far. Russell comes away to the middle. Bentic sweeping hand pass. Now Simpson can run. 1 bounce. He's 60 metres from goal. Puts it down towards O'Halpin. Well, short of the mark, but the mark is taken by Fisher. Not a good kick, but it fell in luckily for this man who'll line up from 15 metres out.
It was a costly drop by Robbo, wasn't it?
Yep. Just not quite on song today. Fisher gets the goal. Less than a goal separates these 2 sides.
Well, they fought back really well, Carlton. It looked like the Demons were going to put some real space between them, and they've been able to gather themselves and kick 4 goals in the last 5 or 10 minutes of football, and they've been getting on top again at the stop plays, but they've been using the ball intelligently. Here's Simpson, and that's a feature of his play, running and carrying the ball. All the players ran towards the goal, and the ball just didn't come off well from the boot, but that was good anticipation there by Fisher.
Brad Fisher's kicked a goal in every match he's played so far this year, so 12 matches, and on 12 occasions he's goaled. It's a good record. The 2 players that have kicked a goal in all 14 rounds are Jonathan Brown and Brad Johnson. So Carlton have come back strongly with the last 3 goals in the match.
Still playing the paddock 2, Dennis. They're congregating across centre half forward, the Carlton forwards.
White and Koutafidis, and then Wheatley to help out. Jones wrapped up.
Thanks, Jonesy.
Sylvia this time. McDonald half threw it out. White back to Jones. Well played by Waite. And then Bizzle to Frawley. It's a good handball because it released Miller, and then Miller goes over the top, and the Demons can set up here. Buckley, good looking kick to fall forward. Oh, Newton, nearly a beauty. Lappin, still with Lappin. And that was a clever kick because Newton was going to smother it, you reckon, and then Simpson on his wrong side just blasts away and finds a good target in Kilda.
Kilda hasn't seen a lot of it. Gibbs again flies from behind. Almost another spectacular mark. Found it on the ground, at least in the short term. Tied up is Bauer, and we'll have a bounce out there or rather Grigg.
Is Newton getting rid of his direct opponent? Almost clung on to that. The ball just bobbling out at the last second.
Over the top came Dunn, slaps it down. Grigg's got it. Stumbles, did well in a tight situation. And now a chance for Koutafidis is through. Got it from O'Halpin. Closing in on goal. 25 metres out, and he drills it. Carlton in front.
Well, done it well, the Blues. Koutafidis had 10 touches today. That was as easy as he's going to get this afternoon. There he is. He contests the stop play. It's picked up here by Grigg. Handball over to O'Halpin, and then Kuta follows up again. Nobody ran at him. He could just cruise in there, just measure his kick, and that's as simple as you like.
Gibbs has gone to full forward for the moment.
He'll push back up to centre half forward. The players will congregate there and leave that space behind.
So Carlton have kicked 4-2 to 3 points after Melbourne led by 21 points in this quarter. But Bate at 55 goes for goal. Won't be a goal. Well, yes, it will. It is. Gee, that's sloppy at the back, isn't it?
Well, it's sloppy. I know I've been banging on about this all afternoon, but Bate actually pushes to the ball. He is a lead-up player. If you're going to play on him, you don't just sag off the back believing that he's not going to get the ball. He pushes hard to the ball and he wins the ball. He's kicked 2 goals this afternoon. They've tried a number of players on him, Colin, but still they haven't been able to get the right bloke with the right levels of concentration to cut him out of the game.
58 plays 54, and twice now Melbourne have snuffed out Carlton's lead in the space of a couple of kicks when the Blues have been fortunate enough to get in front. Down goes Jones, claimed from behind by Simpson, and we'll have a ball up. That was amazing how much space Bate had inside the centre square. Walker just hung back, as Tim said. Bate came and got the footy, wheeled around onto his left side and kicked a long-range goal. McDonald hurriedly down towards half forward. Fickle bounce down there. Walker that time beat Bate, aided by that bounce. Young gets a hand pass away. Sold a teammate into desperate trouble. Playing a strong tackle, Young wins it back, or helped win it back for the Blues. Simpson intended for Walker, stolen by Jones. Buckley has it now. Thought about going to Jones, instead lengthens the hand pass. Dunn kicks inside the forward 50, and a clever mark against Robertson, taken by Thornton. Plays on immediately. Sweeps it across the ground. Bentic's got it. Not much on that side, so he comes back to the middle, and Lappin's got it.
So the Blues to set up. Thornton's run to Gibbs. It's come back well, Gibbs. Ricky told us about the problems he'd had with the ankle, but he's been busy since coming back on the ground. And then Bentic a centre wing. Game building. Carazzo, who had 17 disposals in the opening term. O'Halpin. Oh, he's done it again. 2 to beat, and the Irishman took him on.
He's the new Favola. That's what he is, O'Halpin. He's the new Brendan Favola inside their forward line.
Well, he's raw. He's as raw as it comes, isn't he? But
he's outstretched Carroll again. Well, technically, that's a free kick there to Robbo.
So can O'Halpin kick a second? We got a jig on the last one. I reckon we'll get a real celebration if he nails this to put the Blues back in front. Tough angle. Is the Irishman up for it? No. Right across. Missed the lock. Well, he's learned to swear in English. That's one thing, isn't it?
Some words are universal, Bruce.
Well, him and Matty Clark obviously didn't come from the same part of Ireland either. We've got completely different approaches to goal when they shoot.
Australian for Oops. Up goes White, takes the mark on his chest, right on the defensive 50. Tight game, and that's been the beauty of it. Melbourne by 4 points. White barely to 15 to McDonald. And what a contribution those three brothers have made. The last of the McDonald brothers. They all played over 100 games. This is very close to the boundary line. In fact, it was out, I think, on the full. And Houlihan will take the resultant kick. Approaching 2.5 minutes remaining in this first half.
In general play, actually, Dennis, the game has tightened up. It looks like Melbourne have been more conscious about going one-on-one with their direct opponents.
Houlihan to space, and a good, courageous mark is taken by Hartlett. Just backed himself, and he came to that one strongly.
That's a good, strong grab, isn't it?
To all intents and purposes, Bizzle is going to take the mark and it's just wrenched away from him. That's his first mark, coming up for his first kick of the afternoon. Hartlett from 52 metres out misses to the left-hand side.
Taken in the 2004 NAB drafts at number 25, so they rated him pretty highly. The Blues had a severe hamstring injury last year, which curtailed his season.
Carlton have been good in the contested marks in this quarter. 9 with the Demons on 2. And the good thing about this match is so hard to pick a winner. It was prior to the game. Melbourne were narrow favourites, $1.79 to $2.01. That's what we showed you at the start of the match. And right now, those odds wouldn't have changed too much, you'd think. Miller's kick, Lappin read at best. Wheatley's little give to Brown, and then Brown conceded, but the right thing to do to McDonald, to McLean. He's got to go back inside, and he does, to Brown, to McDonald. Now, can he use the ball? McLean read it really well. Can he break the line here? Decides to come back to Frawley. Frawley back to McLean, getting busy in this exchange of play. Buckley took them on, well done. Lovely looking kick, centering Robbo. Oh, pinged off by Waite. It was a good one. And then Thornton and Johnson to chase. And Thornton uses Waite again. And Waite's kick down the line is outstanding to Koutafidis.
Koutafidis looking back towards the middle, spots Young. Natural left footer. The kick aided him at least initially. And that's a clever kick too, eventually, as he got it to Hartlett. Hartlett inside the centre square then, sets one long, Lappin in best position, in from the side. Carroll a timely mark.
Misread the situation. They didn't have the tall target down there.
Melbourne by 3 points. Here's Dunn. A late inclusion for Bruce. Short of the wing. Johnson, awkward half volley. It came back to him, almost an involuntary action, ripped away by Koutafidis, who then embraced McDonald.
The game's really tightened up in the last 5 minutes. They're going one-on-one, and neither of these sides play tempo football where they pick off the direct player with the lead and the pass very well, and we're seeing a lot of turnovers.
Wide over the top, but it was straight to Hartlett, who's got busy late in this quarter. Carato's handball missed the target. McLean brought down by Walker. Bentic's back to him was good, and then a check side, missing everything.
That is so undisciplined. He should come straight off the ground after doing that. Had a player inside, but we've seen Carlton players try and have a ping from the boundary line on 4 occasions in this game.
Beat them in for half-time, Tim.
You can't have that.
So Ward banging it out wide. Carazzo. Can the late mark here? O'Halpin couldn't quite. McLean to Ward. Ward's quick kick. So at half-time, the Demons hang on. They led by 3 at quarter time, and that's what they lead at the half-time break. It's been entertaining. It's Carlton 8-7 to Melbourne 9-4. Some disturbing news with Ricky Pettard in the first half, but it seemed like it might be a little bit better the last time Rick Olorenshaw spoke to us. Down to you, Rick.
Yeah, thanks, Bruce. Yeah, Ricky Pettard copped a heavy knock in that first quarter to the ribs. The doctor immediately recognised he had a collapsed lung because he had a lot of breathing difficulties. There was air actually leaking into his chest cavity. So an ambulance was called. He was taken to Epworth Hospital, where he'll have a tube inserted into his chest just to reinflate that lung. At the moment, they say he is stable, so that is good news. But he will spend the next couple of nights in hospital under close observation, and he'll be very unlikely to play again this year.
Half-time, Melbourne by 3 points. They're 2-0 when they've led at half-time in matches this year, and 0-11 when behind. So if you're a Demon fan, you're right where you want to be.
He won't play again this season. What, 38 on their list have been used this year. If you don't get a game and you're on their list and you're fit, I think that tells you something, doesn't it?
So Petard unlikely to play for the rest of the year.
There's a lot to like about the future of Melbourne. I'm just going through some of the names at half-time. Bate, Newton, Buckley, McLean, Jones, Dunn, Frawley. Petard, as we know, he's gone off to hospital with a collapsed lung. Johnson's been good today. Sylvia looks like he's actually starting to piece his career together too. So, you know, there'd be a few, I would think there'd be a few prospective coaches putting their hands up.
Start of the second half on Sunday footy at the MCG. The margin as it was at quarter time. Melbourne by 3. White on the way down. Slaps it down towards half forward. Bate overran it. Bentic goes in. Socket off the ground by O'Halpin. He's still tracking the football as well. And a bounce inside the centre square. Clutching his head. Simon Godfrey.
Wiggins has now gone to Matthew Bate. That's his 4th opponent this afternoon. He's been a constant thorn in their side across half forward.
As the bounce, Koutafidis and White locked up. You heard the umpire. James McDonald jams it on the boot, kicks it inside the forward 50. White did well, angled it back towards the pocket. Well done there by the man under pressure. Getting the hand pass out was Bauer. Now Thornton. Little chip around the boundary to be taken by Scotland. Oh, that's dangerous. Almost the mark. Gliding in, ghosting in front of Koutafidis was White. Now getting through is Wheatley. Gets a hand pass away. The kick from White. Marked by Robertson 10 metres out.
Well, we often see this in modern day football, don't we, at the zone. And all the Carlton players moved into attacking offensive positions. We see Cooter just throwing the leg out there at Wheatley. And when White kicked this ball, there were 3 Demon players who were on their own within 20 metres of goal.
Robertson, only his 2nd kick of the afternoon, his 2nd goal.
Well, because it is Heritage Round, we can talk about the good old days, and it was always referred to as the premiership quarter, the 3rd quarter of football, and that is players can go to sleep at half-time mentally. And I think it's a critical stage of the game, the first 5 minutes after half-time, to see which side is actually on their game, which side has prepared mentally correctly at the half-time break. That's a good goal for Melbourne. Still a very even contest.
So the D's stretch their lead down to you, Rick.
There's one player that Melbourne need to get more out of, and that is Aaron Davey. He's currently sitting in a forward pocket. He's been completely taken out of the game by Adam Houlihan. Only had 3 touches in the first half. Just wonder whether he should be put in the midfield, just to get a bit more run out of him.
And one of those touches was unforgettable, wasn't it? The goal that he kicked from the pocket. So Melbourne making the early running. Carroll slipped. Gets a 2nd crack at it, but he's under pressure. Bizzle, well, he took them on. He had about 4 guys to take on at once. And then Betts paddles it forward. McDonald with him. Wheatley. So Melbourne have done well here. Sylvia, that's been a little victory for them against the odds there. And then Brown's kick to centre wing. Bate and Wiggins and Godfrey and Carazzo. Carazzo 17 disposals in the opening term and ended up at half-time with over 20, but Godfrey did a very good job on him in the 2nd quarter. Yeah, they cost Melbourne last year, didn't they, Carlton? Because the Demons would have been top 4 at the end of the season, but the fact they couldn't get over the Blues, won very few matches, but they had Melbourne's measure.
White knocked it down, stolen by Carazzo, who hugs the boundary. It bounces just inside the line, then goes out. Moment to go in defence, rather unorthodox by Clint Bizzle, coming out of defence like he was going into a mosh pit. He just took off and jumped into 3 Carlton players who were kind enough to catch him. Boundary throw in. Koutafidis being asked to do a lot here in front of White. White finds it, gets a hand pass into the path of Buckley, just tapping it away deftly. Murphy and Buckley. 2 young tyros, eventually stolen away by Scotland. To bounce around the outer side, runs beyond the wing, penetrating kick inside the forward 50. And Bizzle, no soft landing this time, goes back, takes the mark, plays on, swings it to centre half back. McDonald, Betts closing, comes back to Miller, back to McDonald. McDonald tracks it through midfield. Good looking kick too. Sylvia right on the 50. Newton, that was an untidy kick, landed in front of him, caused him a lot of angst. And doing nicely down there, Bauer again kept his head under pressure. Simpson towards the wing, hands in the back, apparently not. Koutafidis has it. Crowd red hot on that. Murphy a little chip. Hartlett has it on the wing. Bentic is moving for him. He bypasses that option, goes long down towards O'Halpin, and that's the way to do it. No hands. O'Halpin just stood his ground. Carroll came back and hit the immovable object.
Played it beautifully, didn't he? Thought his way through it. Just pushed his elbow out. Carroll came back to it, just gave him a little bit of separation. He's got too much height in a one-on-one contest. There you go. That is the way to get around the new interpretation.
Absolutely. O'Halpin, study and concentration, very close to the man on the mark, but it's good. Carroll claiming he touched it. I think it went between his arms.
He got very, very, very close to the man on the mark. He marked out his spot. Here's Hartlett. He pushed up the ground, and this is really clever play on his behalf too, because Bizzle likes to actually sag off his direct opponent. What Bizzle's trying to do is trying to play close enough to Carroll and O'Halpin so that he can actually influence that contest situation. And here's we see just how close O'Halpin does get to Carroll on the mark.
So the pattern of the day continues. He's taken 4 contested marks, O'Halpin, 7 in total. He's becoming the most important forward in the match. Sylvia, good pick up to Bate, who Tim's talked a bit about today, having a very good match. That kick not so well directed. And Houlihan now down the line. It was Wiggins to Houlihan, and now Simpson, the acting captain today, back to Wiggins, back to Houlihan in the 150th game. Neat little kick to Koutafidis, to Bauer, and then Bauer sweeps the handball to Waite. And he's just so good to watch, Waite. Brilliant athlete. Kicks inside their forward 50, but a poor kick, and Brown gets back and gives it to Jones.
Jones away inside his own defensive 50, pumps it very high. Well, the young and the old prevails. Koutafidis, 15 possessions now. This man had 17 in the opening term. Carrazzo a little untidy. Wiggins, the look away hand pass. Scotland comes across the ground. Thornton pushing up from half back as away. He can run down towards half forward. Elects to go short, very short. Simpson's got it. 60 metres out, wheels around. Long to full forward. O'Halpin in position A. Flying over the top, getting very high was Carroll. Lurking behind Hartlett. Off his body and across the line of behind. Ward quickly in. Nathan Brown's got it. Brown just a chip outside the defensive 50. Wheatley.
So Melbourne hanging on to this lead. Wheatley's long kick over the centre wing. Carrazzo, Bate, Godfrey, and also Wiggins. Well done, Wiggins. To Bentic, to Grigg. Set up a bit. Jones has got him. Grigg went to ground. Godfrey just paddled it forward. Lots of good contests happening at the moment. And the ball stuck there for a ball up.
A lot of handballs this afternoon, Carlton. They've had 89. They only average 120, so they're well on pace to beat their average. I think Dennis Pagan is just trying, because of their last couple of performances, just trying to get something going. He said to the players to run and share. They're still kicking the ball long inside their forward 50, though.
McLean hurriedly in the pocket. Bate gives it across to Brown under real pressure. Dangerous spot for Carlton, off hands. Scotland kept his head, well worked. Now Simpson's away, goes with the right boot. End-to-end stuff at the moment. It's enjoyable. This is Grigg, takes a long time off the ball. Buckley was put down. Buckley's going to get a free kick.
Jared, you want to keep them down, mate? That's just silly.
And a lecture as well. And Greg was wide-eyed with all of that. He was watching that. He was spectating. There goes the short one from Robertson. That was a compromise kick between about 3 of his teammates. Brown gives it off. Backing away from a would-be tackle there was White. Comes to Ward. Oh, great evasion. Daniel Ward lines up and kicks a goal.
Well, he's one of their best defensive runners, Daniel Ward. Rebounds the ball particularly well. Here's the incident there with Wade, and also Buckley just crashed straight into the umpire, said that he got him too high, put up his bumper bars. And here's Brown, who's done some terrific work inside the attacking 50. White, that was the clever handball over the top, and Ward smart enough to go around and just steady. And he's made his way all the way back to the defensive position where he picks up Eddie Betts.
So Carlton by 62-70, Melbourne. So Halpin in the ruck. McLean. White got it down to him. Kicks to about 60. Simpson did very well there. But Sylvia read it best and then put Wheatley under the pump with the handball to Robertson. And Robbo's going to love this one. It was in the third quarter last week, Tim, that he really exploded against Essendon when he kicked 3 goals in that term, and he's already got a couple here. In fact, he's only had 4 kicks and kicked 3 goals.
Yes, he's just starting to get a little bit of space inside that 50. Sylvia, again, we've seen him play on a number of occasions this year. He was actually recruited as a midfielder, and he must not have the engine yet because he hasn't been pushed into the midfield very often. But I love the way he actually attacks the ball.
Not a bad result for Russell Robertson. As Bruce said, 4 kicks, 3 goals. Almost perfect. Jones went to ground. Dunn did. Pardon my grammar. We'll have a bounce alongside the centre circles. So suddenly it's out of 14 points. Carlton have found this a few times today. Just a momentary lapse. And Melbourne take advantage. Bentek feeds it back. This is Simpson looking down towards the 50. Kicks beyond it. Halpin surrounded. Getting a fist on it was Bizzle. Now Davey, he's been quiet. Tracks it across the 50. Went to ground. Houlihan went down in sympathy, but Davey's getting a free kick. Kicked perhaps the goal of the season earlier today.
Ricky Orenshaw made a good point about Aaron Davey too, about the fact that he's having trouble getting his hand on the ball. If he pushes up the ground, he can do some real damage running the ball off half-back as well.
Bizzle gave it to Carroll. Oh! McDonald flies over the top of Bentek, then pushes off, starts running, gives the ball to Jones. Jones, dangerous kick. Johnson is coming in front. The mark is taken by Robbo. Russell Robertson 20 metres out. That was a good grab.
That is a great fly there by McDonald. We don't see him do that very often, but it was the fact that he was able to play on so quickly that put the Carlton defence under so much pressure too.
Well done by Paul Johnson, just shielding his man momentarily. That's all it took for the ball to find Russell Robertson. 4th goal, a mere formality.
Some real danger signs here now for Carlton. They've been on the end of some heavy losses over the last 2 matches, and maybe that starts to play on the mind of the players. They need to tighten up and actually start to win some of these in contest. They allowed the Melbourne side then just to play on too quickly. We see Robbo. Johnson got in the way there first, and that was Sylvia that almost protected the ball, but Robbo just took a pretty simple chest mark in the end.
Russell Robertson, 361 goals. That was his 200th at the MCG.
Sylvia hurt in that collision too there with Russell Robertson taking the mark.
They'll need him back, but Melbourne making the running here, as they did in that second quarter when Carlton had to come back from 21 points behind. We're in a very similar position right now. Davey, beautiful half volley. Good pressure, though, coming from Houlihan. Bate is a hard ball to win at the moment. And then Jones has kicked to Robbo. Not quite. Thornton did the job that time. Wiggins. Handball over the top to Houlihan, to Waite, who tucks the ball under his arm. And then Kudafides strolls down the ground with 3 bounces. Back inside to Young. Young, who's normally a pretty good kick, goes to the pocket. Clever mark taken by Kennedy. Gee, Waite, he is an athlete, isn't he?
Don't you just want somebody to take the game on in a situation that they've found themselves in the early part of this third quarter? It was Jared Waite who just decided to tuck the ball under the arm, take a couple of bounces. Everything just opened up. Had he kicked it off half back, he would have kicked to a wall of Melbourne players, and he just carried the ball beyond them.
Needs a goal here, Kennedy, and so do the Blues, and he's got it.
He's a highly credentialed kid, Kennedy, taken as a forward, just hasn't been able to really cement a place in this side. They've tried him in the ruck at different stages. As we see, Waite just running down the ground there, just carrying the ball. And that was a really smart kick there by Young too, just to kick it to the favoured side. He's got some height over his direct opponent, Kennedy, now being picked up by Carroll.
Colin, Sylvia in trouble. Ricky Olorenshaw.
Yeah, Colin's just currently getting some work done on the bench. He actually had a cork thigh in that first half. You can see his right leg very heavily bandaged. He copped another whack into that cork. So always very painful getting a cork on cork and very hard to come back from.
Margin is 14 points. Kudafides had it, lost it. Jones emerges with it. One down. That's holding the ball. Good chase from Murphy. Very lively. Murphy looks to half forward. That's an intelligent kick too. Halpin didn't have to break stride. He's got it 65 metres out. Kennedy deep in attack now. The ball goes in that direction. Waiting behind is Miller. Loose ball. Can Gibbs get there? Not quite. Frawley did well. Sprawling in and knocking it across the line.
I reckon Satana's on strict instructions. When he gets the ball and he's not having a shot for goal, he has to play on quickly and kick the ball long.
He's doing that. He's been a dangerous player today.
He's been very good.
Here's Ward to himself. Runs it to the pocket. Goes for distance. That's a telling kick. Bate having trouble with his son out there. Finds it on the ground. Kudafides found him. Down he goes. Carroll over the top and a bounce. Kudafides, after a quiet opening term, has got pretty busy. 16 possessions. Most of them hand passes. Lap on the face of experience on that bench.
Jones just missed there by Buckley, and then Scotland inside to Young. Young to the goal face, getting back Bizzle. He got a foot to it, and the ball rolled over from behind. The big disposal winners are Carazzo 26 and McDonald 24, so no surprises there. So Carlton again pegging Melbourne back, and this has been what's happened throughout this match. They got to the lead a couple of times in the second quarter. Melbourne were able to get quick goals.
They're better signs too, because they've been blown away the last couple of weeks when the opposition side's got a run on.
And they've had 2 heavy defeats, haven't they? Hawthorn and Fremantle.
With Favola out of the side too, it's meant that they've been able to do some experimentation, and somebody like a young Kennedy, Josh Kennedy, is going to get more time at that key post in the forward line. They're going to have a greater opportunity to actually see what he's capable of producing.
So Johnson and Halpin. Johnson 2 fists. McDonald's chasing hard. He won't get there. It'll be another boundary throw in. So Melbourne 15th against Carlton 14th. Dennis Pagan, dual premiership coach with the Kangaroos, took them to 7 consecutive prelim finals in the 90s.
Johnson taps it down. McLean surely holding the ball. No attempt to get rid of it. And eventually,
Just wide on it.
Carlton get the free. Simpson, no doubting that. Simpson comes across the ground to Young. Scuttles away on his left foot. Goes looking for Waite. And his vertical leap is one of the best in the AFL.
He's got a beautiful pair of hands. Frawley's got a huge job on him just for a young kid playing his first season AFL football. That's a strong tackle there by Kate Simpson. Nothing that Brock McLean could have done there other than just glare at the umpire after you paid a free kick against him. Rossi Young's had 3 or 4 important touches this quarter too. Just seems to be getting under the guard of the Melbourne midfield.
So Waite, another important kick as they try and get back into the contest, and this one misses to the near side. Andrew Carrazzo leads all comers with 26 possessions, but we've lowered our aspirations for him. I think Peter Featherby can breathe easy. His 51 looks like it will stand up, but Carrazzo this season 34, 37 and 30. Ward's in trouble. That's interesting. Went for the short pass, the very short pass. Bizzle, that was timely. His intervention did nicely. Frawley almost sold into trouble by Brown. Gets away under pressure. The kick will carry though. McDonald's got the run of it, pushing it towards the boundary. Still McDonald. Wonderful balance. McLean kicks beyond the wing. Taken by Dunn, wasting no time. Plays on, pulls it back. Robertson lurking. Could get the crumb. No, still a chance for Melbourne. Bate, he's been terrific with limited opportunities. Newton tries to go with the outside of the boot. Wiggins did well. Hartlett's in trouble. Picked up by Carrazzo. He's in desperate trouble, which is worse than just trouble. And the ball's out of bounds. We'll have a boundary throw in.
Sounds like Harry Potter.
Albus Dumbledore.
Get that book out. O'Halpin did the ruck work and belted it away, and then Simpson's toe poke was effective. Pretty good decision, I reckon, with Fisher going forward with Miller. And then Wiggins and Johnson, and a boundary throw in.
They made Kate Simpson their skipper last week, so he's obviously one of the more thought of players at Carlton in the leadership group. I reckon he's shown great leadership in the last few minutes of play too. He's been doing a lot of the hard in and under stuff.
Looks like he's been on that phone for a decade, doesn't it, Mark Riley?
There he goes again.
Is that out on the full? No. McLean getting busier. He's had 11 disposals. Simpson's been very good with 18. So Johnson, O'Halpin, and then Dunn. Lappin's been quiet. Should have got a free kick from the back. Gio Halpin's been impressive. Little kick's a good one to Kennedy. Now Fisher wants it in the goal square, and Kennedy launches, and it's, well, Miller did well. It was a good kick. Miller kept his eye on it and belted it over the line. So Carlton are creeping up, aren't they? They're slowly but surely eroding this lead.
That was perfect by Miller. Eyes on the footy, as Bruce said, but always conscious and not losing contact with the man he was marking. Russell slips it away. Carrazzo close to the boundary line. Koutafidis terrifically. Fine mark. Carrazzo now up to 28 possessions. 17 in the first quarter. And he got to more balls than the Duchess of Kent. As the ball goes inside the forward 50, Frawley needs to be careful. He'll start bleeding again. That one hit him on the head. Fisher gets a hand pass away. Simpson is through. Open goal. Beckons, misses. Simpson did the hard work. Couldn't finish.
9-8. He kicked coming into this game, gets a lot of kicks on the run like that. They've kicked 1 goal 5 with their last 6 scoring shots, and they've had the play, but they do need to put the scoreboard pressure back on Melbourne.
And they're the sort of misses that gets Dennis Pagan, I'm sure, totalling up his superannuation.
So Ward not doing the kicking in, left it to Wheatley, but Ward gets it. Now he's got another problem. He's had a few problems back there in this quarter. Wheatley back to Ward. Clever kick, did well to Frawley. He's a likely type, Frawley, and decides to go right down the centre. Robbo the target. Thornton did extremely well. Carrazzo couldn't quite get it away, and then Newton got hold of the footy and then goes to White. Not quite. A behind. So the first score for Melbourne for a while. They led by 3 points at quarter time and by the same margin at half-time. Davey sitting it out. They'd be looking for something from him in the final quarter. Away goes Bauer.
Well, he got to his move early. Then trouble. Scotland, though, helps him out of it. That's a beautiful kick. Lappin juggles the mark. 60 metres out, directly in front. Lappin to the pocket. There's Waite again. Could have almost got a free. There was high contact on the way down. Waite still finishes up with the football. threads a hand pass along the boundary. Oh, it was clever by the young man Greg. But the kick there from Murphy, not the equal to the earlier good work.
I like the look of that kid, Greg. Highly credentialed kid in the draft last year.
He was captain of the Victorian country team. He hurt his shoulder last year, but looks the part, doesn't he? So 2 goals, 7 to 1-1 in this quarter. Carlton have had 9 scoring shots for 2, and I reckon their inside 50s will reflect that as well.
Overall, they had 24 scoring shots to 18 as well. Well, the only place they're not winning at the moment is on the scoreboard.
I said 1-1, 4-1, of course, the Demons in this term. But Carlton with a lot more of it. So is it the blood rule? Miller coming off by the look of it.
While this is happening, Melbourne will congregate. They'll huddle probably at about centre wing, and it's almost going to be like a kick-in huddle where they block for each other when one player breaks to the space.
Yeah. There's the shot of all those players in a huddle. Now Bizzle asked to play on and put under pressure, and he kicks to the big group. Godfrey was the flyer. Wheatley and Scotland emerging. He hasn't had so much of it today. White did very, very well to get it forward to Dunn.
Here's Bate again. Bate just inside the 50. Awkward one for Newton. Went to ground, found it, slapped it goalward, chopped off by Thornton. Kicks it very high in the air. The only man who really had eyes for the football, oblivious to everything else, was Brown. Plays on quickly. Chris Johnson. Short passes, Dunn. 55 metres out. Heads for home. That's a long kick. It's a beauty.
That's the difference, isn't it? Just taking opportunities and nailing the goals. How he got free again then, Lynden Dunn, he just had plenty of space. And I think that's the part of Carlton's game that probably frustrates Dennis Pagan the most, is the players not able to concentrate for the full duration of a quarter of football, let alone a game of football. They just lose concentration at critical times. And Lynden Dunn's done well replacing the injured Cameron Bruce.
So it is frustrating for the coach. Had all the opportunities. The scoreboard does tell a tale today, doesn't it? 10-14, 14-5. 5 more scoring shots, and yet Melbourne's got a handy lead. Oof. Russell. Scotland's handball was good to Bentic. And then Bentic right down the centre. Fisher read it best, but he couldn't take it. And then Bizzle been busy enough. Murphy's hands okay. Greg. Brown getting back against the flow. He's a brave player. He's had a good match, Brown. Yep. Kick off the ground is excellent. Wheatley, this is an important ball. Russell, important that you don't go to ground. Houlihan's normally clever, and that's good to Walker. Walker's kick didn't have the legs. It was a nothing kick in the air, and Wheatley was the lucky bloke in all of that, wasn't he?
He's played well too, Wheatley. 18 possessions. Houlihan turning in midair, but did nothing to thwart this man White. White on the wing.
That was a poor kick by Walker. Lappin actually was a half kick on his own. Now, I know they don't like to go short, but there is a time when you've got to lower your eyes and honour that lead.
White down towards half for good leap. Newton. Juice. He's got the ball about 75 metres out. Little chip intended for Robertson, going back with wonderful courage. Beats Scotland, averaging 25 possessions a game. Short one. Koutafidis thought about giving. Cruising past Carazzo. Uses Carazzo as a decoy. Oh! Well, Greg wasn't thinking there. Run down by Johnson. Maybe it was a lack of talking for the youngster. There goes the high ball. Davey! Well, he brought it down. It jarred it out as he hit the ground. In trouble, Thornton, met solidly by Newton. Hartlett under pressure, scrambles it out of defence. It'll be coming back. Wheatley gathers with just over a minute remaining in the term. Wheatley is a long kick. 2 men free at right half forward. his teammates now directing the ball should go there. Jones has got it, and the moment has passed.
They'll be happy to sit on this now, Melbourne.
Wheatley suggesting we're going to sit on this. You're a genius, Tim. Hear the call, play on. Those men still loose at right half forward. Carroll takes it, so we're down to 45 seconds. The shot clock and the game clock.
Oh, there's a fly by Davey, just not able to control it all the way to ground.
Not quite in sync, those clocks, as Davey sends it down. Big leap, White pushed in the back. Hands in the back, says the umpire. I think that's the first of the afternoon that's been played. So yesterday, a lot of controversy in the wake of the game between St Kilda and Collingwood. This rule, or the interpretation, hardly cited today. Jeff White, another clearance.
Yep.
That's a big leap.
That's a hand in the back too.
Yeah. So White comes in, hard on the boundary. Not a bad looking effort, just misses. Saw Mike Fitzpatrick at the ground earlier. He should announce, I think, Tim, an ongoing inquiry into the hands in the back interpretation. That way, given Michael Malthouse's sensitivity to inquiries, we wouldn't hear another word. Bauer from half back to the wing. Sylvia takes the mark.
Took a good one too, but not such a good kick. Saved maybe by the bell as Betts' kick
might bounce all the way.
Umpire with his hands in the air. So at three-quarter time, Melbourne with a handy lead. They lead it by 90 to 74 over the Blues.
Start of the final term. Sunday football at the MCG. It's cold, but the sun getting through now. Weather hasn't quite made up its mind all day long. There's Walker, plenty of the football. Swings it out towards right half forward. Frawley, aided by the bounce. Frawley sends it long down towards half forward. Robertson, big leap. The judgment shown at the back, though, by Thornton. Thornton into Mines. Goes out towards the boundary, and Fisher. Blues need an early goal. Koutafidis tried hard, spent a lot of the time on that wing. Kicks inside the forward 50. Houlihan almost falls to Lappin. Lappin hooks it back. White, the only man back, takes the mark about 15 metres out from goal.
Do you reckon there's been half a dozen occasions this afternoon where Melbourne should have gone to another player, look to just dish the ball off and make more of their opportunities inside their 50?
Carlton?
So Carlton, I mean, yes.
And that was another instance, wasn't it?
Yeah. Kicking blind, screwing the ball around their shoulder, trying to kick goals from the boundary line.
And if you add that to their inaccuracy, Tim, of 10-14 to 14-6, it just shows you that they're still very much in this game if things can happen for them in the final term, because they've been winning enough of the footy.
Well, they're inside 50s too, 48 to 37, so they've had plenty of the ball, plenty of opportunities. It's just their finishing which has been a problem all season for them.
And their last quarters have been a problem all season. They haven't won one since round one, so they need to win one today. Lappin to Scotland. Had a good third quarter, Scotland. Measures that kick. O'Halpin, not quite. And then Betts was worried out of it by Ward, who was very good there. To Jones, the hard-running Jones. To Bate. Been a good player, Bate. He's the sort of player, he doesn't need 25 disposals to have an impact. He can have 15 or 16 and play a major part in a game. That one, he's wanting Robbo, got a little shove from Thornton. And then Thornton's kick, chopped off by Godfrey, who's going to get a gift goal.
Oh, that hurts. That hurts. We've seen Thornton turn the ball over a couple of times this afternoon, just in his execution and his decision making. That was Davey actually worried him out of that. He just saw Aaron Davey coming towards him. He released the ball, missed his target, went over the top of Carazzo's head. And Godfrey, who's tagged Carazzo pretty well since quarter time, in the right place.
Mark Riley looks on, fitting really that Simon Godfrey should kick that goal. Only 10 possessions, but he did manage to close down a red-hot Andrew Carrazzo, who had 17 possessions in the opening term. White. Bentic goes after it on his knees. That's a real knee buckler as far as Carlton are concerned. Wiggins, Carrazzo down towards half forward. They'll have to be brave now to come back from here. Well worked by Miller, just knocked it forward. White gave it back to Miller. Godfrey. Now Wheatley. Could it be a relayed free kick? Not according to the umpire. Wiggins went back, spilt the mark. Johnson grabs it, snaps and misses. A couple of Johnsons out there today. Johnston. 47 years ago, Melbourne, 3 Johnsons in a premiership team. Trevor, Tassie and Bob.
Kick down the line, McLean. A couple of your favourites there, Dennis. Koutoufides to Walker. So Carlton still with a chance. Lappin. He's had a quiet game. He's capable of going all the way here if he wants to. He brings O'Halpin forward and then tries a torpedo. Fisher's a good chance and he's got it. It was an awkward kick by Lappin. He wanted the goal square vacant and Fisher got back.
Well, that's not the percentage thing to do, but
it worked.
It worked. It worked.
And Fisher gets his second and Carlton's still alive.
Well, I don't know anybody in football that would like to be sitting underneath a torpedo-type kick pass that wobbled in the air. He's outside his distance there, Lappin. Didn't get clean contact with the ball, but it was well read here by Fisher. And so often you see forwards just reading the ball better off the boot than defenders. Defenders' first inclination is to go to their direct opponents. We saw Miller do then. Meanwhile, Fisher's actually positioned himself to take the mark.
Brad Fisher keeps getting goals. He'd be a very handy player, you would assume. Not that he's not handy for the Blues, but in a top side. Just adding the cream. Has to battle pretty hard for his chances in this team at the moment. Walker goes back to Scotland. Simpson, full credit to Carlton. They will not be denied. Once his left side, manages to sell a dummy on the basis of that. Runs down to the 50, lines up, kicks. I think he likes it. It's a goal.
Captain's goal. He's captaining the team today. That was big.
We spoke about him, didn't we, just after half-time when it looked like the game was going to slip away from him. He got a couple of important touches, put his body on the line. Gee, he thought his way through this really well. And the review panel will have a look at that trip there by McDonald, but nothing in that. And that's a really long goal by Carlton. And they're showing a lot of spirit. A lot of spirit.
He's come a long way, Simpson. In his first 3 matches in 2003, didn't get a possession in any of them. And here he is captaining the team today and having a big game. And Carlton, with a couple of goals, have closed this up. I'll tell you what, it hasn't been pretty, but it's been exciting, this match. Carrazzo searching for that footy that he brought to the ground. To Simpson, to Waite, to Koutoufides. He's coming back.
Free kick here. Yours, Cooter, downfield. You're hanging on to him, Junior, after he got rid of it.
So Junior McDonald, these umpires know these players so well, don't they? So Koutoufides.
And Carlton started Gibbs, Grigg, Young and Russell on the bench at after three-quarter time. So they've got plenty of run in their legs.
Kick to full forward. O'Halpin at the back. Kennedy tried to get a handball away. Walker nearly gets a foot to it. Carroll with him. Betts. Kennedy's kicked a goal. The Blues are coming fast.
That's a real reward for this kid too. The first time he actually did the right thing, he did the instinctive thing, which was trying to handball the ball. Here he goes. He thought that was Walker that was calling for the ball. Followed up then. He's a big kid. Betts tried to slam it off the boundary, off the ground. And then Kennedy picked it up, and that's his second goal this afternoon. Importantly, they won the ball from the centre again.
Cause for optimism. Just 5 points the difference now.
They're not a stranger.
After that goal by Godfrey, you thought little or no chance Carlton. Kudafiti is right in the thick of the action. Got a hand pass back to the thick of it all.
Sorry, Dennis, what I was about to say was they're not a stranger to a circumstantial situation like this, Melbourne, either in recent weeks.
Another ball up then.
Straight up here, boys, straight up.
White locks up with Kudafidis. The hand pass comes out into the path of Jones. Socket away by Simpson. Godfrey run down. Dunn. Young, was he pushed in the back? Jones did well. Kept on coming over the top of Young and dived on the footy. So a bounce just inside the 50. Gibbs. The loneliness of the long distance cycler. Slapped out of there by Sylvia. Bate with the run of it. Oh, great stuff on the ground. Carrazzo got it out to advantage. Now an opportunity. Houlihan's away. Houlihan carries it beyond left half back. Not a good kick though, but he was put down. Relayed free kick. Melbourne becoming untidy. The poise of Waite in defence was very good. And the poise of Carlton overall terrific.
Kennedy's long kick. It's a probing one. Halpin at the back. Betts and Ward. Ward and Betts. Couldn't quite get over the try line, could he, Betts? It felt like that for a moment. Wheatley, and then Carroll concedes. I'm just thinking to Melbourne close finishes. We've seen them in 4 matches this year lead in the last 3 minutes and lose 4 games by 6 points or under.
And that'll start to play on their minds as we count down towards time on if the scores are still close.
Carroll's kick to Sylvia. And Sylvia goes down the line to Bate, who's been a good player all day. Sort of bloke you reckon might stand up when they need a goal late. To Bizzle. Bizzle to Buckley. He and Grigg in their first matches. Takes a chance. Not a great looking kick, but it does give McDonald the run. Terrific tackle though. Carlton have got a taste, haven't they?
No chance. He was tackled straight away.
So Mark Riley in his first game as coach, he's just where Neil Danaher's been so often this season, on the phone with a nail-biter.
Bauer over the top, thumped it forward, taken though by Miller. Too slick for McDonald. Walker is taken down.
Houlihan's done a very good job on Davey this afternoon too. Aaron Davey can be a match winner. Just had 4 touches this afternoon. He's kicked 1 goal.
Bounce just forward of the wing then. Melbourne's way. Kudafidis, he's been terrific. Knocked it down. Simpson, well, close to 15, but not 15. Sylvia towards half forward. Brown about 75 metres out. Wheatley can kick this. He's a long kick. This is a beauty. It's got the carry. It's home. Oh, you can't give him space there.
This was a magnificent kick from Wheatley. They just had the numbers. There were 4 on 2, and he is, well, during the NAB Cup series, the pre-season competition, he's been known as the 9-point specialist, Wheatley, and that's a great finish. And they won't go away, the Demons.
This has been the story of so much of today. When Carlton either get to the front or get close, Melbourne get the next one. You feel, Tim, that Wheatley's always going to get a game whilst he can kick a footy that well. It is a great weapon to have. As the Blues through Murphy come back inside the 50, Lappin looking for a runner that couldn't get it, and Bizzle takes the mark.
They've got a spare player across half-back Melbourne. Carlton have got a spare player at the other end of the ground, but it's Bauer.
It's going to be interesting to see how Mark Riley plays this too. We saw Neil Danaher against Essendon, didn't we, when they closed it up a bit late. How will Riley play this in his first match? Johnson's kick to centre wing. Gee, Wheatley, I'm not sure if he's played a better game than this. I know he had career best disposals against Collingwood on the Queen's birthday match, but he's having a real influence here.
Gibbs coming back on in the ground, replacing Kuda.
Buckley's kick to Dunn, and it's a kick out wide to Ward, away.
Loves this situation, Ward. one of the few players who can run and then use the ball. Having said that, he was wide of the mark. It was intended for Newton. Coming through his Houlihan, moved it about 5 metres. Sylvia grabs it back towards full forward. Johnson was committed. Robertson deflects it down to Bate, and that's fitting. No forward today for Melbourne has worked harder.
No forward has worked harder, and they haven't had a better forward on the ground. That's his 3rd goal. He's done a mountain of work across half forward. As I've already mentioned, he's had 5 different opponents this afternoon. He's been a thorn in Carlton's side all afternoon. He's had 6 tackles, so he doesn't just work when he's presenting to the ball. He works hard when he doesn't have the ball. He's a fine player.
David Neitz there in the centre. So we're back to where we were at 3/4 time.
Some talent sitting there,
I'll say.
Something to look forward to. So the Demons by 16. Missed by Johnson. He recovered, but now he's in trouble. He did get it out. McLean works the footy. Sylvia, Jones and Bate. And then Walker very, very aggressively over the top.
He got his mate.
I think Melbourne are in better position here at the moment. They've got Bizzle. They've freed him up as a free play across half back, and Bauer is the free player for the Blues across half back.
Kennedy gives the free away.
Thank you.
It's the 13th consecutive match that Carlton have conceded 100 points in. We're in round 14. They conceded 98 in round 1, and for the last 13 over 100.
Johnson inside the forward 50. Well, a big leap down there, all to no avail. That was Newton. Going back is Thornton. He's on the ground, almost hands the ball across to Houlihan. He comes out to Bentic. Bentic feeds it back. This is Bauer. Peels off half back, runs up towards midfield, kicks to half forward. Lappin. Well, he judged it pretty well. I was going to say he was out of the contest, did some body work and then took the mark. Young, all Melbourne. Too many Melbourne. Waite's got it, spots a man, and Gibbs running back towards the square. He's taken the mark. Open goal beckons, turns around and thumps it through. There's a pulse still for the Blues.
And once again, it was Houlihan that actually started that attack from half-back. Not only has he been able to nullify and take Davey out of the game, he's actually had a lot of the ball too. This is Bizzle, as I said before, the free player, just watching the ball. No communication there between the 2 Melbourne players. And once they went for the ball, there were the 2 Blues at ground level that ran forward. And there's a bump by Miller on Fisher behind play.
Gives his first goal since round 1, only his 2nd in his career, and Carlton keep coming back.
And now they've sent another man forward, Carlton, so there's no free players at either end of the ground.
So this game really opening up, isn't it? Lots of goals at both ends. It's becoming a real shootout. Simpson's been very good. He's confident. He took the 2nd bounce and then kicks inside the 50. It was a good one to Walker. As good as Bate has been for the Demons, Simpson has been for Carlton.
He's been terrific. The way that he's been able to raise his level of play. He's a really good ball carrier through the centre too. Carlton in this last quarter, 6 centre clearances to Melbourne's 0.
So Andrew Walker missed last week. He's played 12 of the 13. This is a major kick in this match. Can the Blues get within a goal? It's a poor effort. He leant back on it and he's let himself down.
That's been the difference between the 2 sides. They're kicking the accuracy of Melbourne 17-7 and Carlton 14-16. You just have to take your opportunities. It's as simple as that.
Ward to himself may have let the coach down as well. Just get the feeling this is a defining match for Dennis Pagan. We said earlier today, as Melbourne has played a 50-50 ball, Carroll, the man in front. That's a retro rule. Love to see it. There's McLean up towards the wing, half volleyed by Brown. Over the top, intelligent hand pass. Wheatley goes for distance again. Robbo in 2 minds about competing. Loose ball at the back. Bate made his own luck. Newton snaps and misses. Dennis Pagan's last game at North Melbourne was against Melbourne, the elimination final of 2002. And I would think the Blues would expect to win this game, given the stars Melbourne have got out. And if they were to lose, that impact could be hefty against their coach.
So lots of little subplots of this game. Murphy runs hard, 3 bounces, and then kicks towards Lappin. Oh, with Carroll.
Just playing the mark, hold on. Just playing the mark, boys. He took the mark.
I think Michael Malthouse was right yesterday. Bravery is going out of the game.
Gee, eyes just for the footy, weren't they? Lappin fully committed to the contest as well. And of course Dunn was sort of sandwiching him in the end. There was no way out.
Wow.
Carroll's still down.
You could feel that up here.
That's bone crunching.
Just remarkable. 2 sides near the foot of the table. Nothing to play for. And guys just do this because they're trained to do this.
The kick was directed to Lappin from Murphy, as we see players from both teams now just gathering in the centre of the MCG in their huddles. There's Lappin being attended to by the medical team at Carlton. And that's a great sign.
I'm not sure how conscious he is, but you'd be walking tall if you were, because he's just taken a great mark under pressure, hasn't he?
He would scoff at a stretcher, that man, I would think. From Claremont in WA, he was on the Fremantle rookie list and played under Mark Riley in the Waffle at Claremont. And there's the other man who showed equal courage. Game in the balance. Dunn, his side up by 10 points. And still plenty of time. Wheatley. Midway between the lines. Half back and centre wing.
They've done this well, Carlton.
Wheatley takes on Betts. That was ambitious. Worked out okay. Ward, McDonald. Now Chris Johnson goes with the left boot inside the forward 50. Too hard for Newton that time. Hartlett just angling the ball out of bounds. So boundary throw in. Dennis Pagan. What a contrast. The only similarity they have is they're both on the 5. Tossed in on the 50. White hooks it down behind exposed area. Bentic, Carazzo. He was run down solidly by Newton. Well worked by Robertson. Gave it out to McDonald. Buckley put it on the deck. Time to recover. Now Dunn, we've seen he can kick it a long way. Goes for goal. Off target this time, a behind.
Hartlett to bring it in. They need it clean here, Carlton. They need a takeaway. So a lot of pressure on the youngster. He's gone for Simpson. It's a good kick. And then Simpson takes Robertson on. He's on his wrong side, but he delivers to Kennedy. He's having a huge last quarter as Simpson gets it back and then goes bang to Wait. Talk about rebound footy.
He has been fantastic, Simpson, this afternoon.
Tim, he's gone from good to great in this match in 1 quarter, hasn't he?
And you just wonder, don't you, what sometimes giving the responsibility of leadership to a young player does for them. 26 touches this afternoon, Simpson.
Well, Walker missed the last one. Wait, you reckon's just got to kick this. And he has missed it. Well, pressure on Dennis Pagan, but gee, Wait 1 goal 3. Walker misses a sitter. He can't come out and kick it for him. And that's what he must be thinking a bit at the moment. And that scoreboard is so symbolic of Carlton's season. A lot of points for, but too many against. Down to you, Ricky.
Just on that Nathan Carroll incident, he has came off and he looks a little bit groggy. But the thing is, if he does come up okay, the AFL rules say because a stretcher was called, he has to remain off for 20 minutes. They've lost Nathan Carroll, which could become important late in this game.
Good point. O'Halpin knocks it down in front. Murphy stood up in the tackle. Carazzo, O'Halpin. Tackled by Jones, affected the kick. Wheatley to a number of his teammates. Jones gave it to White through midfield. Dunn, awkward half volley. Went to ground. Brilliant hand pass. Got it to White. Now Brown. 55 metres out. Bate once more.
Nathan Brown with that really good pick up here by Lynden Dunn, and good follow up there by Jeff White. And Brown's been very good all afternoon to just kick the ball beautifully to the space in front of Bate.
Heritage round. Whoever gave out the jumpers at Melbourne knew what they were doing. Bluey Adams was number 6. I think Bluey kicked better than that. But Bate has been terrific this afternoon. One blemish, but it could prove costly. 11 points the difference. Short one comes in. It didn't find the target initially, but Bentic ample time to take it and run. Heads up towards the wing, takes on Brown, kicks to half forward, some jostling, some pushing. Johnson wanted it most, worked in front, hand passes, some hesitation from Ward, throws it on the boot towards half forward. Robertson did brilliantly, made something out of nothing. Dunn to the pocket, oh, in front, Bate could have almost got it free. Davey wheels around, 52 metres out. Interesting hand pass. Over it is Buckley. He looks tired. Socket away by Houlihan. Out of bounds on the full.
So Brown to bring it in. Goes inboard to Jones. Gee, Tim, it's going to be fascinating to see if Melbourne try and work the clock shortly. They're sitting on a kick and a half lead. Let's see what happens. They mightn't have to. Sylvia read it best. Dangerous game, this AFL, isn't it?
Seems to be.
It's a good mark.
Gee, they're not going to die wondering out there, some of these players. That is a fabulous mark. He's got a good pair of hands, Sylvia.
He missed one, didn't he, earlier today that was very gettable. There'd be some irony in all of this if Bate's easy miss and Sylvia's easy miss late in the game, because they've been so accurate. But they have kicked 3 points in a row. They were 17-7. This makes it hard for Carlton, and he has got it.
You mentioned before the fascination in what Mark Riley might do late in this game. They're in a similar situation with almost a similar amount of time on the clock last week against Essendon on Friday night, and they lost from this situation. So whether or not they send players behind the ball, it doesn't appear that they're going to do that. They've had 10 goal kickers this afternoon, the Demons, so they've had a really good goal spread without their key forward in the side, David Neitz.
So much of the elite at Melbourne sitting watching this one. Still shaken. Reaching over the top, White perhaps. Out wide, Bauer charging through with Scotland in the opposite direction. Godfrey comes to Murphy. Kicks it down towards half forward. Pitches out there in no man's land. Going after it is Bizzle. And he kept it in to the surprise of everybody, particularly Carlton. Well done by Ward to knock it down, but Bentic emerges with it, kicks to the pocket. Arriving as Miller. Fisher really with no play on that ball, just had to wait for it to arrive. It took a long time.
Still time, 4.5 minutes on the clock.
Halpin and White just won the tap. Well, the one thing the Blues have been able to do all year, Tim, is to kick goals. They've conceded plenty. Simpson couldn't quite get to his left, and then the right foot didn't have a lot on it, and Wheatley got back.
Courage.
Well, he's close to the votes, Wheatley, isn't he?
He's been excellent. He's playing as a free player, though, in the back half now for Melbourne. So Mark Riley has sent one back.
And that is a great kick by Wheatley to Johnson. Just keep thinking we're seeing a lot of players out there today who are probably having their best games for the season, and Johnson's one of them. And that kick to McLean just set him a bit of a task, but he did pretty well, McLean. And then kicks to White. Good effort by him, but O'Halpin to worry him. White just got to be careful now. White's little handball. Simpson searching. Johnson searching and runs it over. Tim, your top four?
Well, I think Matty Bate has been one of the best players on the ground this afternoon. Simpson's been excellent. His second half has just been outstanding. Wheatley, as you mentioned before, Carazzo has had plenty of ball, although he's been quietened in the last three quarters somewhat by Godfrey.
White knocked it down. Bauer falls down. It's not coming out. Just looking at Satantaro Halpin, you get the feeling he would have a very hard body. Crashing into the back of White there. Wouldn't be an easy man to play football against. Having said that, he sits down. Maybe White hurt him. Ball knocked down towards half forward. Davey's in front. Claimed from behind by Houlihan. Will have another bounce.
He's had an excellent afternoon too. Houlihan has kept the Aaron Davey danger machine very quiet. Cade Simpson looked like he's almost unable to run to that ball. He's tired. A lot of tired players out there now.
Well, it's been that sort of game. Open, plenty of running, bit of give in this surface as well after a lot of rain. Koutoufides, Young. What a game Simpson's played. To half forward, still life perhaps. Murphy's got it. Under 3 minutes to go. A centering kick. Gibbs has got it. 60 metres out. Running to space. Young kept pushing up the ground. So if they're to have any hope, this young man has got to score a goal here. Ross Young made his debut earlier in the season. A left footer. Knows he's against the clock. Waste no time. Comes in. Oh, gee.
That is the difference between these two sides this afternoon.
No doubt.
Melbourne have gone forward, kicked their goals. Carlton have gone forward on more occasions, but haven't been able to nail them.
Well, they've lost from this position, not quite this margin, but they've been in front in the last 3 minutes in 4 games and lost Melbourne. But you would think that miss, poor old Young, we're putting the pressure on him, aren't we? But you would think that miss has ensured Melbourne a 3rd win in their last 5 matches. Kick wide, Bizzle underneath it, White and Koutoufides. Little toe poke. Kouta's been just terrific. That one missed Carazzo. Bate, little give was outstanding to Chris Johnson with a bounce, and then to full forward Sylvia, good spot, well done at the back. Scotland, Simpson and also McDonald. Robbo round the corner. Robbo kicks a 5th. He has a sense of occasion, Robbo, doesn't he?
Got a sense about being able to find the goals too, Bruce.
How many kicks has he had, Tim? He's had 6 kicks today for 5 goals.
Thornton's done a pretty good job on him, but that's different. And how many times do you see that in football where you just attack that part of the ground, and even though it becomes a crumb, you see a goal eventuate from the passage of play.
Highest score of the season, eclipsing last week. And what do we say? Here's to you, Mr. Robertson. 5 goals. White goes up, hooks it down behind. Jones went to ground. Tries to get boot to ball. It's all over now. Koutoufides out to Murphy. Going back is Bizzle. And that's a very good grab from the goal square. Just over a minute remaining. Johnson in the back pocket. So Melbourne in the end will give Mark Riley a first up victory.
Back, please, back.
I wonder what Neil Danaher's thinking. I wouldn't imagine he's at the ground. I would think he's watching on telly. Frawley, Brown goes back close to the boundary line, just angled around the boundary there by, I think it was Wheatley.
Let him up, high.
Free kick going to McDonald. Just wanting a little more space as he gets up. Like on the Tokyo subway, you've got to earn it.
Well, without being presumptive, I reckon Neil Danner would just be wrapped for the blokes, don't you? He's that sort of guy. He'd be so pleased that the blokes that he's been with for so long have had a win.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Dunn in the back pocket. And they've won 3 out of their last 5, the Demons. And you made that point last week, Dennis. Had they beat... Oh, good mark. Gee, Bizzle's having a terrific day.
His comeback has been good, Bruce.
Didn't play at all last season. Well, no 5, I should say. Didn't play at all, and he's been terrific this year. Good win. Good match. Good win, Melbourne. Captain applauds. Lots of stars out there today.
true for the red and the blue, and we sing this song to you. Should old acquaintance be forgot, keep your eye on the red and the blue.
Hard to take that one for Dennis. Let's go down to Ricky with the 5-goal man, Robbo.
Well, you lost 5 players after last week's game. It was a real back-to-the-wall win, wasn't it?
Oh, definitely. Look, new players, new coach, and the boys came to play today, which is great. We came to play last week. Unfortunately, we didn't get the chocolates. It was a close heartbreaker. But today, look, I'm just really happy for the boys to get a win because it's been a bit of a struggle this year.
And you mentioned the new coach, Mark Riley. Much different approach to what Neil Danaher had?
Look, by and large, pretty much the same. Bomber's pretty much straight down the line. He's sort of a back pocket plugger sort of fella and calls it as it is. And he's pretty much the same. He's coming from the Danaher school of thought, really. But look, the players really enjoy his company, get along with him real well. So, hopefully we can keep getting games, getting wins for him.
Did you realise at half-time that Ricky Pettar was seriously injured and off to hospital?
I had no idea, mate. Had no idea. But look, one man down, and look at Nath Disco running back with a flight there. Really is what we need to show our supporters that we are committed to the jumper, committed to the team, committed to the coach, and committed to each other because we really are. It hasn't gone our way this year with injury and whatnot. And look, hopefully we can start getting some real positive stuff for our fans.
Yeah, good win, mate. And hopefully a few more to come this year. Thanks, Ryan. Got you, mate. Ta.
This has been a Fox Sports presentation. This program brought to you by Harvey Norman. There's a store near you. And Bunnings Warehouse.